Welcome back to the CSHS Elementary Python course. As always, if you're following along in the notebook, make sure to run this top cell before anything else. It might take a little longer this time. We're importing some more stuff. So the first question is this is going to be about lists. So what is a list? And a list is just a group of variables. So imagine if you lined all your variables up in a line, and you could walk through and look at them all. So for example, let's say we have 3 different animals, cat, dog, mouse, and we've assigned them to variables, animal 1, animal 2, animal 3. So we can now group these variables together into a list called animals. So animals is equal to, and then we have a bracket, and then we list our variables, and we separate them by commas. Oops. Separate them by commas, and then we close the list off with another bracket. And now that's our list. So now if we print our list, we'll get something like this. We'll print animals, now we have cat, dog, mouse, even though up here we said animal 1, animal 2, animal 3. Because it's referencing these variables up here. So now go ahead, it's your turn. Try to put these 3 capitals into a list. I'll pause, give you a second. All right, assuming that you have paused the videos, we can go ahead and go capitals equals another capital, California capital, and Texas capital. And now if we print our list, we will get, oops, Texas capital is not defined, spelled it wrong, that's okay. Now we will get Denver, Los Angeles, and Dallas. So that's what you should have had. And something to note is that you don't actually need to save variables before adding them to a list. So we don't really need these 3 lines. We could just add them directly into the list down here like so. And you can see we get the exact same result. So what exactly goes into a list? Pretty much anything you want, and it can even be a mix of different variable types. So for example, this is just a mixed list of dog, 34, cat, true, 34/7. So you got strings, integers, floats, booleans, it just handles it fine. It's just a collection of variables. And something to note, it's a little bit more complex than what we're going to cover, but you can actually put other lists inside of lists, and that's called a 2-dimensional list. So for example, we have this list of dog, cat, mouse. We got some animals. We got a list of numbers, just 1, 2, 3. And then this master list is going to be a list comprising of these other 2 lists. If we print it out, we can see we have this main bracket out here and main bracket over here, noting the entire list. We got dog, cat, mouse, 1, 2, 3. So don't really need to worry about this, but it is something to look at if you want to go farther in by yourself. So one of the questions is, how can we see how long a list is? And Python actually has a built-in feature called the length function, and it's just len and then parentheses, and it will tell us the length of the list. So for example, we have a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Called length of the list. There's 5 items in the list. We get 5 back. That's great. So now how do we access the variables inside of the list? So getting the variables inside of a list is going to use a process called indexing. And indexing is just a fancy way of saying grabbing. So if we refer to our list of capitals up above, we can index items in it like so. So we can grab items like so, where we say the list, and we have open bracket, and then a numerical index, so just a number. And this particular index will grab the first variable in the list. And something to remember is that Python starts counting at 0 instead of 1. So go ahead and give it a try down below. Grab the second variable from the list capitals, and you should have Los Angeles. I'll give it a pause. All right, come back. It'll just be capitals and 1 because Python starts at 0. And now if we do that, we get Los Angeles, which is great. So now, what if we want to grab every single value in a list? And this is where for loops come in. And you've seen for loops before. So we're just going to create this thing called courses, math, English, science, history, and then for course in courses. So for each item in this list, we're going to print out the item. And you can see we get each item, which is pretty great. So the for loop broken down, for temporary variable name. You can name it whatever you want in my list, or just whatever list you have. And as you go through, anything that comes after, so for example, this print, this course is referencing this course. If there was another course somewhere else in the code, it wouldn't matter. It would only link these 2. And you've actually seen this before when you use the range function. You're creating a list. What this does right here is creates a list. And actually, it's not exactly a list, but Python, if you just tell it to take it as a list, you can see you get a list of 10 items starting at 0, ending at 9. So then what if we only want to grab a portion of the list? So grabbing or indexing a portion of the list is called slicing. And we can slice a list like so. We have a bracket, a number, colon, another number. And so we're starting at index 2 and we're ending at index 5. But Python does not include the 5th index. So what does that do? You can see we got 2, 3, 4. And the way to think of it, you're going to get 3 items because 5 minus 2 is 3. So we are back. So how would we add an item to the list is you would use this function called append. And if you have your list and then dot append, and whatever variable you want to put to the end of the list. So for example, you have my list equals cat, dog, mouse, and we say append bird. And now we check the list, we can see cat, dog, mouse, bird. So just put bird on the end of the list. So now, your task, now that we understand lists, a movie or video is just a large list of pictures put together. And the faster you can put the pictures together, the more fluid the motion looks like. So first off, click this right here to just download the movie. And now the cell above just downloaded a 16 image that you'll stitch together to view the movie. So each image is named like p1.png or p2.png all the way up until p16.png. So your goal is try to use a for loop and the range function to create a list with all the picture names. So p1, p2, p3, on and on. And then once you have your lists and the picture names, put it into this new function, show movie, and then just your list. So quick reminder, you can add integers to strings like so. So you have your first string here, so I have, and if you say plus str, parentheses, whatever number you're trying to add into, and then plus the rest of your string, this will come out to just, I have 17 cats. Also, something to remember, Python starts counting at 0, but our pictures start at 1. So the first image in the movie is P1. So you'll need to use the append feature, the range feature, and string building to accomplish this task. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and then give it a shot. I'll come back to the solution. All right, assuming you've come back, this is the solution. So we create an empty list up here. So pix equals empty list, and then for x, or whatever you called it, item in range 16, we're going to do it 16 times. Pix.append, and then we're doing some string building. So p plus x plus 1. And the reason I'm doing x plus 1 is because Python starts at 0, but our pictures start at 1, so we want to just add 1 on. And we finish it off with png. So we can check out pix here, what pix looks like. And you can see that we have a list of P1 all the way to P16. And now, if we pass it into the show movie, we'll get to watch a little movie. That's one of the first movies ever made, just a stop motion of a horse running. But that's it for lists. So just to recap, lists are just a group of variables, and you can access them using slicing or indexing, and you can add things onto the end of the list with append.